Hey, good morning, everybody. So we'll start off with the problem. So the problem we aim to solve is about how we feed our species. So as we all know, big demographic changes, both in population increasing as well as a trend in urbanization. And right now, we need to double our food sources by 2050, by some accounts. At the same time, there are a lot of tensions going on with areas that impact our food creation. So major droughts in the US, we all know about droughts in California. And in a lot of areas, a lot of where we produce food is right where there's this designation of exceptional drought, which is confounded by well, it's going to become a greater issue because right now we're taking a lot of our surface water and a lot of that's depleted, and now we're digging deep wells to pull up our groundwater, and that's harder and harder to regenerate. It could take 100 years in some cases. So we're sort of pushing the problem down the road. And in addition, in this same part of the world, in California, there's big problems with sinkholes. So as we take this groundwater out, the ground is literally sinking 7 feet in a lot of our farm areas. Also, confounding the problem is the way we grow food is very efficient in some ways, but it's very destructive in other ways. So industrial ag is how we're feeding a lot of people. And as we do so, we're on a mass level putting all these fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides on our farmlands that leads to river runoff, that leads to algae blooms, dead zones, and contamination of our fresh water. So in agriculture, about 70%, in the US, about 70% of our fresh water goes to agriculture. About 70% of our freshwater contamination comes from agriculture. So when I co-founded AeroFarms, I was on the Global Agenda Council of Water Security for the World Economic Forum. And I just was armed with that bit of information and wanted to have an impact here on water, and realized if you want to impact water, look to impact agriculture. I like the trend of local food production. And then also with local food production, I realized there are big inefficiencies in the supply chain, and that's waste. So today, from the food that gets off the farms, and this is of vegetables, of the food that gets off the farms, approximately like 65% of it goes to waste. So there are inefficiencies along the whole supply chain. So most of what we grow doesn't get eaten, but of the stuff that comes off the farm, again, it's about 62% doesn't get consumed. So huge inefficiencies in the supply chain. So right now, in the trend of local food production, people are trying to create different ways to grow locally. Here's an image of a rooftop farm. Here's an image of a greenhouse. And I'm here to talk to you briefly about what AeroFarms is doing, which we believe is the future of agriculture. And it's not going to solve all of agriculture's problems, but it's part of the solution. And we really need a new paradigm of how we feed our planet. So here, we're currently building our 9th project. This is some of the earlier projects that really technology, the genesis came out of a professor who was at the Cornell School of Agriculture. And this is really building plants in warehouses. So we grow without sun, without soil, using 0 pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, about 50% less fertilizers. And this is a project we're building currently in Newark, New Jersey. It's it's going to be the largest vertical farm in the world. It's in an old steel factory, this dilapidated steel factory that we are repurposing to build this state-of-the-art farm. And the performance is such that about 70%, our productivity per square foot is about 70 times higher than a field farmer. And that's because of the vertical stacking nature. It's also the crop turns. So our crop turns are approximately 22 harvests a year versus 3 in the field. So that combined with also a lot of crop density in our growth media. So we're still farmers, it's just not as we think of farming, but it's the same plant. It's we don't have anything against GMOs, but we don't use GMO seeds, and we're able to optimize what the plant wants when it wants it, to have very healthy roots and very healthy leaves. We focus on leafy green vegetables. We've grown about 250 different leafy green vegetables. So our team at AeroFarms, we're very much engineers. We have mechanical engineers, structural engineers, lighting engineers, electrical engineers, PLC engineers, process, industrial, all these engineers working on this problem. And we also have a tremendous amount of data science to understand the plants. So seed to harvest, we take on average about 30,000 data points that we're analyzing, and it's not just about yield, but we could take a plant and stress it in a way to accentuate qualities, whether it's texture, make it harder, make it softer, whether it's pepperiness, sweeterness, bitterness, whether it's color. We could also extend the shelf life. We could also extend the nutritional density. So just similar, if you walk around, you get calluses on your feet, we could introduce different elements at different times in a plant's maturation to kind of develop certain qualities of a plant, enhance certain qualities of a plant. And we're very much technology enthusiasts, so there's a tremendous amount of ways to influence plant. Part of it is spectrum. Plants don't need all the spectrum under the rainbow, all the colors of the rainbow. We give it what it wants, when it wants it. We also take away plant spectrum that aren't as effective for the plant. So for example, from an energy efficiency standpoint, the big energy hogs in lighting is yellow spectrum, green spectrum. We're able to strip off the less efficient spectrums of light to make the plants more effective, but also from a cost of goods sold standpoint, make the economics competitive. Today, we're able to sell at supermarkets, not even just the high-end supermarkets, but regular supermarkets, selling at the same price as field farmers from California in the category of organics. Organics typically carry a 20% premium over conventional, non-organic products, and we're priced and positioned in that same category. And like I said, we're still farmers. So we've grown about 250 different varieties of leafy greens. We're focused on leafy greens because it's a relatively high price point per pound. There's a long way before the technology becomes cost feasible for row crops like corn, wheat, soy, and so forth, but they make economic sense in this category. And this is illustrating our ability to have 22 crop turns versus 3. It also enables us to adapt to the needs of the consumer. This is illustrating the 70 times productivity. Like I said, we're able to increase the vitamin density. We use 95% less water to grow a plant. So remember that first image of the droughts. Here, tremendous less inputs to get our output. This is just an image of our R&D facility. We also, as part of our social mission, we're showing how we could repurpose facilities. This one is in an abandoned nightclub. This is one of our commercial farms. It's in an abandoned paintball facility. And now, of course, it's about people. I'll go through this quickly, but it's a world-class team in different areas. This is the steel factory that we're building now. It's about an 80,000 square foot facility. It's going to be our state-of-the-art headquarters as well as R&D facility. And we're getting a lot of press. We just had our groundbreaking on this facility a few months ago. We had over 100 million web impressions the week after the groundbreaking. So there's a lot of social media viral interest in what we're doing. And we're getting big financial backers like Prudential and Goldman Sachs, which is great to kind of illustrate the proof of the economics. So with that, just a lot of response and awards. And our goal is not to build one farm, but it's to change the world and build these all over. So we have a pipeline in 4 different continents, and we are partnering with other financial players to build these projects in cities all over the world with the mission to providing fresh, wonderfully tasting, healthy product to people in cities where the mouths are. Thank you.